Seems like that's coming.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're definitely going to be locked down again. I wouldn't be too worried about making your way out here to...
We get locked down with you. I mean, we do the lockdown podcast.
It'd be worse places to be locked down, man.
It'd be descent into madness. Who will kill first? You will be the first victim.
I think you would be dead as fried chicken.
Oh, maybe I'm making you think that, but in actual fact, watch your back. That's right. See for one eye.
No, I think I'm the first to go anyway. As soon as
here we go.
Why?
I would come in and day one I would complain about the fact that you haven't got enough foods that I would eat, and I would complain that you have not renewed your Xbox Live subscription, and I would be out the window.
Dude, I've got a pantry in my house now.
Oh my
For the first time. I was making a list of all the shit I have to have in my house when I buy a house. And
pantry was number one?
Well, with the number one, but it was on the list.
Two.
And lo and behold, the place I find has a pantry. So I've renamed it the Costco Closet. So now it's just overflow for when the lockdown comes. I've already started stocking up on the non-perishables and canned goody goods. So it's all good.
Have you bought 18,000 rolls of toilet paper? Because apparently that's necessary.
Not yet. That's my next order.
Geez, we're going to have the same situation again. No, do not stockpile.
It's going to happen. You have to.
People won't learn their lesson.
It
doesn't even make, it wouldn't, especially now people know that they don't need to do it, but people will still do it. It won't even make any sense.
Because that was the habit that they found themselves falling into. That was the pattern. And that was trying to think of the right words for it, but that was what, everyone was doing. So they're like, we need to continue on with this.
It has a domino effect.
Progress.
Because if somebody is stockpiling, then it fucks everybody else up. Well, not just one person, but if a lot of people are doing it, then you're like, I've got to do it. I haven't got a choice. You kind of get bullied into it.
They're still limiting your ability to buy. I ordered some because I get lazy sometimes, but they sell pancakes, like pre-mixed, this giant Costco bag of pre-mixed pancake stuff. And they're still limiting the amount you can buy, which I thought was crazy. Apparently people were buying that stuff up.
Well, on a pancake mix? Or key items are just like all items?
No, it was just that one item. At least
pancakes, pre-made pancakes.
It's just the powder.
Yeah, like the powder mix.
It's like
the flour.
Yeah, it's just the dry bit.
I thought you were saying like pre-made, already ready, cooked, flipped, ready to go pancakes.
Nah, not those. Nah, the powder ones where you add some water or milk or whatever, and then you pour it in.
Shake it up,
Yeah.
Shake and bake.
So I think what we're looking at is welcome to the show, you guys. What's up? We're here finally. As you say, I moved. Rai was over in Amsterdam. Glad you made it back. You didn't get arrested on the smuggling and drug side of the game. So,
well, yeah, because I know you encouraged me to bring some stuff back, but I was like, why is trying to mess my life up? So I decided to just ignore everything you said.
It's a lot more efficient when you're not on the pod. So we were hoping if we got you locked
efficiency, please.
We wouldn't have to come up with any excuses for doing the pod on a different.
Because everybody's just like, I love an efficient podcast.
Yeah, keep it moving. So yeah, there's everyone's going back to school, university, and so on. They've got super spreaders in these universities. I think we'll see a lockdown. I think we won't see it again until after Christmas, though. I think what we'll see is the governments know that we got to keep the economy moving a little bit. And the holidays are here. They're going to play it off as that's just the flu. It's cold and flu season anyway. And come January, boom, lockdown.
Like nationwide lockdown as opposed to the current trend of localized ones.
No, that'll continue. In my opinion, that's them keeping it in your subconscious. They're locking down over here.
Don't forget.
Here. We got the rule of 6, I think it's called, or some shit like that. We got all that stuff going on just to keep it in the back of your mind. And then
did you see the thing about pubs?
No. Go.
I think the pubs are going to be closing earlier, possibly if the rule of 6 doesn't prove as effective as they hope. So I think they're getting I think it's ridiculous though. They're closing the pubs at 10 p.m., which I'm well, that's not exactly a massive jump from their current closing times, especially in this area.
Why does that matter though? I don't understand why that matters. What does closing it early doing?
Exactly. This is the thing. So now it's being ridiculed and people are like, oh yeah, because COVID becomes far more contagious after 10 p.m. Really? So yeah, I saw it on the metro and I just don't quite get the logic. And then I don't quite understand when it's okay guys, we're going to implement this new rule, but it's going to be 2 weeks until it takes effect. Why 2 weeks? So
yeah, those things. It makes no sense to me doing that. I don't get that either. No, I don't. I don't understand it.
It's okay, guys. So before the rule of 6, okay, cool. What's really stopping you from having 7 people over? Big, you can have gatherings within the restrictions or whatever. But it's a bit 2 weeks. Give it 3 days. Maybe I don't know for some whatever adjustments that have to be made by
what's
support
the 2
bubbles.
weeks? I haven't heard that bit. What's the 2 weeks about?
It's just when they introduce a measure, it's usually they give the public 2 weeks to kind of mentally adjust until it comes into force. Yeah, people are just
we can still kind of fool around with it a little bit now, but we have to in 2 weeks.
Oh, up until Monday, we had a 2 week notice before.
Oh,
and it
so
started
Monday
on
was
Monday.
the SmackDown. Okay.
Yeah, but the problem, or whatever the day was, but the problem is that you get this window of time where people go, okay, it's about to change, so let's abuse the life out of it up until then.
Right.
So the weekend before, everyone's okay, so it's Saturday night, we're about to go into Sunday, we've got 24 hours left, let's get 50 people in a room and have a party because we've forgotten why we're doing this in the first place. And then the whole thing just falls apart anyway. So you're negating it. You also make it seem less serious if you put a 2 week window on it. If you put a 2 week window on something, it's not serious. Or I'm not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Really.
It's you say to somebody, you're hey, we should catch up. And you're 2 weeks time? Yeah, it's you're not really that bothered about that person. You're not, otherwise you'd make it happen. So, yeah.
I heard the police said they're not even really equipped to really be enforcing this. And I saw some healthcare professional in the government indicate that if I saw somebody or a group of people violating this, I would definitely call the police. So the police are we can't come to all of these little, what did he call them? Curtain, what do you call them? He came with some cool little
behind the peeping Tom behind the curtain thing.
Yeah,
okay, we're not going to. The police are we're not going to be peeping toms.
Yeah, they're we're not going to be able to come out every time you guys want to call the police just because you're curtainhuggers or something. He called it, but
yeah. Oh, curtain twitchers.
Curtain twitchers. That's the one. You guys come up with cool stuff. I like figures and speeches. I have to say, as side note, my favorite thing that I've ever heard in an English context is there's a place called Chalky Walkie Doodah or Dude Chalky Walkie.
In Brighton.
What the fuck? That is the coolest name for anything ever. That's so creative. I love it. We should have a Chalky Walkie Doodah podcast. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that.
I saw that they're looking to employ volunteers and stuff, and I'm I would love to do a kind of preemptive profile of these people. It's a bit AKA party poopers. It's not quite like that. I know this is serious, but it's just
I think people really like to do it. They like to do that, though. I mean, in America, I was watching something on the internet the other day where these guys go to the border and they enforce the border, so that they patrol the border so that the illegals.
So they can't get the Mexicans in.
Yeah, so they can't bring the drugs over and all this other shit. And this one guy's he came from 15 hours away. This guy drove. He's I drove 15 hours, and me and my buddy, I'm God damn, you got nothing going on in your life. But to me, it just becomes something that you're very vigilant about. And we do this now. It seems like there was this thing with man spreading, at least in the States. So if you're sat on the train or on the subway and you're a guy and you're sat with your legs like this, instead of your legs like this, women were losing their mind. Out of nowhere, this whole thing is now a cause. You can't sit like that. And now they're out there just like a militia, you know? So we get behind these groups, we get behind these ideologies, and we give it all our energy because we want to belong to something. We want to be heard. I think we definitely have created a society where if we're not heard, we need to get around more people that agree with us so that, well, if I'm not heard individually, I got 20 people, we've got to be heard now. So we want to be recognized for our ideologies, I feel.
Oh, yeah, but that's not a new phenomenon. That's humankind. That's society, tribes. And we surround people with similar mentalities to kind of prop up what we think. Most of the time, it's kind of like attracts like.
But we're more militant about it now. We weren't like this before social media. Yeah. There was no group mentality where we're going to shut your store down. We're going to cancel. Here's a perfect example. There's a group of vegans were at this butcher shop. And let's see if I can find it really quick. Stoke-on-Trent. I think that's way up north. So they're the Stoke-on-Trent animal rights activists, nicknamed Star. So they would go out in front of this. They go out in front of this butcher shop, and they got these signs, and they've got, it's got like a dog and it's got a pig, and it's like, why do you love one and not the other? And they've created this mob mentality. We're going to go and we're going to stand in front of this random butcher, and we're going to protest. We're going to draw attention to our cause because there's 10 of us or whatever. If you're out there one person, you don't really got a good protest going. Get the fuck out of here. But the funny thing that caught my eye about this story was that people were, or a car of people, were driving past them, throwing KFC at them because they were like, you guys are wildin'. Bam, chicken wings. So the mentality is there. We want to be heard. We're going to do what we're going to do. And I think that you're going to see English people especially, and Americans would definitely buy into this, I think. But I think they're definitely going to say, yeah, my neighbor's got, 7, 8 people over there or whatever.
Okay, here's my question then. Okay, so if the police knock at your door, and there's 2 of them, and they go, we hear there's a party over here and you've got more than 6 people. Can we come in? And if you say, actually, no, there's 6 of us, and if you 2 come in, that makes 8. So you guys just have to not come in at all. If they come in, they're breaking the rule themselves without knowledge.
Yeah, but it's a temporary measure in order to implement the law.
Yeah, don't let them in. Don't let them in. They're violent. Just be like, you guys are going to make me violate. You say you guys are going to make me violate the law by coming in. I can't let you come in. Got 6 people here. Prove me wrong. That's it.
I don't think the police really care. I think they know they've got more important things to do.
They've got way bigger problems than dispersing groups of 7. Oh, groups of 7.
That's wild. That's like when I was younger, I used to go to the mall. I used to work in this mall in the lesser fashionable part of town, shall we say, and they wouldn't let people walk in groups of more than 4. And I know why they were doing that, because it was a little
for like crime things,
so profile type thing. But it's the same thing. So you can't have more than a group of 6 or whatever, and
that includes children as well, which is a bit controversial.
Say again.
So the rule of 6 rule covers children and adults, whilst in Scotland, the rule of 6 only covers adults. So there is a petition. Yeah, so there's a petition in England at the moment doing the rounds saying that they should use the same rule as Scotland, because it's really preventing a lot of what you call support bubbles, families with young children, etc., and grandparents from being able to keep their current arrangement. So I found that interesting. I mean, I feel like, I get the support bubble. Yeah, and if they're being quite stringent with how they're observing things, that's great. But then I'm like, kids now going back to school, They are probably, they're just as contagious as anybody else in a way.
They're disease
so I'm not
magnets
too sure.
right now. They're disease
so that's
magnets
exactly
right now.
it. So I'm not too sure if that really is the right way to go.
They're always the disease magnet. They're even when they're little, right from birth, they're always the most effective and the most affected. So the little children and seniors, excuse me. So what do you think this new lockdown is going to look like? I mean, we've been through this once. We saw how people panicked. We assume that people are going to be a little bit more controlled and methodical with their approaches towards maybe buying groceries and the way they move about the city and go about their everyday lives. I know someone that's been told that their office is going back to work next month after having been at home since March. And I don't really see the point. Why am I going back into the office right now when, firstly, they already told us there's going to be another lockdown? They told us that back in the first one, or there was going to be a second wave. Sorry, they didn't say there'd be a lockdown, a second wave. So we already are expecting there to be a second wave. So why expose us to everybody that's been in their little pockets, assumingly as they were supposed to be? But you can work from home. I don't need to be in the office. If I've been at work all this time at my house, I think there's something financial that these companies have to be benefiting from as a result. Otherwise,
I think they're getting breaks for, they get certain breaks for having buildings that fill, tax breaks for having to pay rent for buildings that they can write off. I think it gives a certain leeway of either insurance or, I don't know, building rental or paying for maintenance or whatever it is that they were able to write off before that they can't write off now or something like that.
Oh, interesting. Or maybe, they're just we're tied into a lease. We need to get some value for what we're doing, But then I think I agree with you. I just feel like, what is the point of getting people to come in? I feel like they're actually less productive, having to do the commute. They're not eating as healthy. They're not resting as much. They're not spending time with their friends and family as much, having to do the commute. Not the commute, just whatever, everything as extraneous to working in an office. But then also, you know what? Some people, they can't really work at home. They can't. They might have a really tiny studio place. So, but then again, I feel that should be an option that's rolled out to the employees. Just saying, if you really need, that space, it's up to you. You can come in, but it should not really be encouraged. But also, I think it's just this culture of companies not really trusting their employees. Yeah, and it's the whole "you've got to be seen" thing, but obviously kind of watered down given the current circumstances. So, I mean, the UK is really behind so many other nations in terms of flexible and remote working. And unfortunately, I was looking at jobs and I was surprised by the amount that was saying you'd have to go in, eventually, full time. It wasn't even okay, yeah, we would only require you to come in, twice a week. It was they were expecting things to go back to normal, which I feel like the government should have more of an influence on that, to be honest.
Nah, it's all the government does have an influence on it. And I think this is one of the key aspects that I don't feel that at least any of the circles that I'm involved in are discussing. Yeah. And I was kind of touching on this with someone the other day. The bankers are the only ones that are benefiting from all of this. They're laughing. Oh, I thought you didn't pay the light bill over there. I was like, damn, they're struggling over there.
Times are hard.
They got the candles lit. He the only one going back to work. Bankers, top of the pyramid, right? Beneath the bankers, you've got the government. When I say the bankers, I mean the IMF, the central banks. Not the
city banker wankers.
Yeah, no, I don't mean those clowns. They're right beneath the Federal Reserve banks. Those banks I'm talking about. So right beneath that, you've got you got the government, then you've got the regular banks that we go to, and then you've got us, the slaves, that keep everything running. So everyone still has to pay their rent. these businesses, you get a little bit of a break and so on, but they're still demanding money. Everyone is still demanding money. I can't go and get stuff without giving money. So if we don't work, then they don't make as much money. But you're saying the government should have something to do with it. The government issues all this money out. They're the ones that take the money from the Federal Reserve at whatever the interest rate that they may have been charged in exchange for these bonds that they give them. And then they give us the paper money, which is debt that they obviously have accrued through the IMF or the Fed, and they give it to us. So that's why when they're printing cash, this quantitative easing nonsense that they do, they're just putting us further and further and further in debt. So we have to reopen because the government needs that money, and the government's topple if we don't keep them propped up. And the messed up thing is they're giving the money that they do have to bail out these big businesses. The Ford Motor Company gets bailed out.
The ones that don't need it. The ones that do not need it.
They don't need it. I need it. Y'all need it. You know what I'm saying? It's like these companies are getting tens of millions of dollars, if not more, and they don't want to give us shit. But we have to still pay our rent and our mortgages and so on. Go.
I think Kanye West's Yeezy line, I don't know if they took it, but I think they got offered, I think it was in the news, they got offered, I think, something like $5 million as part of the US bailout package, as a company obviously linked with Adidas anyway, so they're backed by Adidas, so they're not going to go under because Adidas aren't going under.
Right. And
backed by Kanye West himself, who obviously has way more than £5 million in his bank account if he really needs to use it. They get it, but yet loads of small businesses are going down because they seem to. It's weird how the way that this chain works, everyone seems to forget that the actual crucial bit is the bit at the bottom with all the small businesses and with the people, because giving Kanye West's Yeezy line $5 million essentially benefits no one apart from Kanye West and probably say 60 workers, maybe.
Right.
If you were to split that among an actual community, you help thousands of people because you can keep people buying things that they would actually use, and they can replace the things on their car, and they can buy the new washing machine, and they can do the shopping, and they can go out and book more holidays and buy new cars. Like, that's where the money should be going, really, to actually, and that's what will boost the economy more. And more people will then buy said Yeezys because they'll have more money because they will have been given the stuff. Don't go straight to the company because you miss the whole point of the thing in the first place.
I agree with you, and I completely disagree with you, and only because of something that I was watching earlier. And you're absolutely right about giving us the money at the bottom because we can buy the groceries and so on. But the thing is, and I noticed this in the U.S., is that after the 2008 market crash, and people weren't spending the money. So if you had the money, you put the money up, right? So if you were given a bailout from the government or whatever, people weren't spending that money. They were afraid to spend it. So if you gave us $5 million in the community, they're afraid that we're not going to spend it and stick it back into the economy. So they can't do that. And if they do that, then it's just essentially to them, they pissed away $5 million. Whereas if you give $5 million to Kanye, Kanye's keeping product out for us to consume, which is all they care about. And he's keeping this big business going, which can then produce more shit down the line once all this is ended. But the problem is that, and I'm paraphrasing, but I was watching this yesterday, all of the money that is, the wealth in the world is, most of it's held by like 1% of the world's population, right? And something like 10% of that 1% controls 90% of that money, which means that 10% of 1%, I think, had as much money as everybody else on the fucking earth. So that's crazy. So they say every time we spend, it all goes back to them anyway. That's why they just keep it within their circle, because
Oh yeah, it's irrelevant. If you own all the supermarkets, you don't care which supermarket people go to. You just know they need to go to a supermarket. That's all it is.
You get all the money anyway.
Yeah. But I will say the 08 is slightly different. People weren't spending the money because the problem with 08 was it was actually the bank's bad business in the first place. This is a different scenario of it's the whole economy's gone because of a pandemic and something that's almost outside of everybody's control. Whereas 08 was essentially don't trust the banks because they've screwed everyone over because they've been playing this game with all of our money, everybody's money for years, and all it's basically done now is it's grown to such a massive monster that as soon as the fucking floodgates opened, everybody drowned. So at that point, when you're bailed out, then you're not gonna spend it because or you even want to keep it in the bank because you're going to be like, these guys lost my money last time. They're the reason I don't have a pension now. So you're not going to spend it. You're going to keep it. Whereas now it should be a different outlook of, well, obviously this was outside everyone's control. I'm now going to be sensible with this, but I still need to do these things. You give it to I just think give money to the general population and they will put it back in the economy. They may save more of it and try and build up more themselves as well, but ultimately you give it to the people that will spend it.
Everybody needs a universal allowance. That's what needs to happen.
Give a millionaire £10,000. It makes no difference to their life. They won't spend it on anything productive. Give someone who makes £30,000 a year, £1,000, they will do something with it.
But also, then I think there's a question of these billionaires or whatever. They need to give more. They need to be taxed. They can't be these bloody tax dodgers or whatever. Like all these big companies have been getting away with it. It's absolute bollocks, being protected by the government. And it's just like, how much money can you spend in your lifetime? It's just such an uneven distribution of money in the world. And yeah, I really do feel one of the good things that could happen from this, the silver lining of the whole pandemic, is that there could be a fucking revolution in terms to get a universal allowance for everybody in the world. Everybody.
How do you see that? How do you see that even coming to fruition? How do you even see that beginning to be discussed as a possibility? Because if I control all the money and it's the two of you that want me to give you my money, what are you going to do to push me into that position? To even
tax the fuck out of them, and if they don't pay the tax, they're sent to jail.
They're not going to tax them.
You got to hide. You got to find this money. Where the fuck are they hiding it? And people know. Everybody fucking knows all these tax havens, all this kind of shit. Like things need to change.
I like the idea, and that's how it should be. But the problem is that it doesn't. Let's just say Vaughan is the one controlling this whole 0.1% of the 10% or whatever it is. It doesn't matter if there's 2 of us or 10,000 of us, because even he's the one that controls it, and the 2 people below him are the ones that hold all the power to make the laws, and he's already got them in his pocket because he's giving them enough money and power. And then people below them are getting, there's too many levels down from those top people before us that it matters. It doesn't matter how many of us get together. You could have everyone else in a room apart from like the top 6 people. It wouldn't happen. Still wouldn't happen.
But also governments, that's not in the interest of the governments, because a lot of them have been funded by these individuals, corporations or whatever, and they've been put into power to protect their interests. So
that's why you won't ever get it.
Well, I know, but I think we've got to fucking try.
No, what needs to happen is, and I don't disagree with you with regards to trying. Yes, what needs to happen, and the only thing that could happen, and this will never happen, is you need to completely restructure government. You need to completely eliminate it and structure it in a completely different way, or we get rid of fiat currency and we go with crypto completely, and that way I'm not tied to any type of Federal Reserve. That's right. That's going to be a central banking system across the world that's giving me money, and they're in control of everything. So once we get rid of that, then we can have that discussion.
Let's get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, you got to get every group, right? Every group to agree to put all their other group bullshit aside. You can't even imagine how hard it is to get two groups to agree on Coke or Pepsi, Apple, PC, gay, not gay, Black lives, cop lives. We are so divided. Everybody is on one side of the coin, on the other on practically everything. Vegan, I want some chicken. It's not happening, right? So if you think that you're going to be able to get all those people, and they bank on this. They bank on that knowledge, knowing that we are completely divided. They got this politics shit going on now. So so now you got Republican, Democrat. So you vote for this guy, fuck you, I hate you, I'm on this side. It doesn't even matter. So it's tough. It's a messy situation. And to hear me say it, it's almost as if to say, well, what are we going to do? Bury your head in the sand and just do nothing? But
you're like, yep. What's the point? What's the point?
If something could be done, it would have, for example, with like Amazon and Starbucks, that well, obviously Jeff Bezos is a centibillionaire, so he's worth over $100 billion, and Amazon makes I wouldn't even be able to guess how much money Amazon makes per day, week, month, year.
They're laughing.
Yet they still can't. Apparently, people still can't force Amazon to pay their taxes properly in each and every country. Like, if you can't do that for one company and essentially one man, then you've got until you could do that. Like, don't even worry about the system changing. Like, if you try and go too big with the system, you'll lose. You might as well try going company by company and making sure that Amazon somehow, and it wouldn't happen, especially now. If it was going to happen, it would have happened already. Amazon would pay their share, Starbucks would pay their share, all these other people would pay their share, and people either don't want to or can't make it happen, or a bit of both.
Jeff Bezos makes $215 million a day. A day.
There you go.
A day.
But him personally, not the company.
No. That's how much he earns a day. He makes $1.5 billion a week. So he's bringing in about $6.5 billion a month, and his annual income is 78.5 on the B side of the game. So if you're making $2,500 a second, that's insane. Who's making $9 million an hour?
But what? How much do you think he pays? Like, whatever the equivalent should be in tax for that?
No, and we got 5 minutes left. No, and Warren Buffett is the genius at this. So he owns Berkshire Hathaway and Black Lives
Shares in Coca-Cola.
That's Jeff Soros, and yeah, he owns everything. He has his hands in a whole lot of stuff, right? So what he does, it's very detailed. I don't. And there's a lot of nuance to it, but he doesn't make a salary. He doesn't pay himself, so that's why he doesn't pay any taxes personally. So what he does is the banks know. Here's Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos or whoever the rich guy is. He wants $250,000 today because he wants to invest in this. So the bank know that they're going to get something from that. So they'll give him the money. They'll just give it to him because they know they're going to get money back from it. And then I'm the banker, the bank president or whatever, and I'm going to get paid on that. Yeah. And that's just how it functions. Bezos, he pays his secretary, makes more money than he does. Right? She pays more.
Technically, yes. Yeah.
She pays more in taxes than he claims he earns, which is bullshit. Same thing with Apple. They're over here. They got Cork over in Ireland where they got all their home stuff, and then that's where they just got off of, how much was it that they were supposed to be paying, and they didn't end up paying nothing. They maybe had a fine, but they were hiding they're not paying their taxes. They don't pay it because it's set up that way by their homeboys so that they don't have to pay it. They're all in cahooty hoots. It's their company. Hopefully we get to see this all topple in our lifetime, which would be brilliant, because all empires fall. But
we need to go like Mad Max style. That's what we need.
Gotta get everybody together.
It's basically what it would take at this point. Like there's no other way of knocking down the building unless you pretty much have everybody else apart from them outside. And even then, it's still going to take a fight. They're not going down. They're not going down without a fight.
They're not. Just imagine what it's going to look like in, what are we in September, in 4 months when Donald Trump has to leave office because Joe Biden gets elected. You're trying to tell me that clown is not going to raise so much hell that he's like, I'm not leaving.
Oh, he's gonna burn the country down before he leaves. 100%. I'm not leaving. That's what it'll be. Whatever the day is, January like 15th or 16th, whenever he's supposed to get out, he will literally just be sat somewhere and just be like, "Yep, no, okay,
I'm not.
Okay, I should leave.
Come get me."
Yeah, who's gonna grab me?
And who wants
to do it?
His people will be there. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. I was watching a podcast called Valuetainment with Patrick Bet-David, and he had this guy on there who has predicted every president, the last 9 presidents, he's predicted the winner, and he's predicting Joe Biden to win. So he's got this keys that calculate a matrix or something, and he says Joe Biden, that's who he's picking, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's gonna be crazy, but there's a lot happening, and the world is a messy place. You've been warned. So that's what's up. We're out of here. We're out of time. We've got less than a minute left. So I want to thank my people over in the south part of the country. Go take a nap. She's yawning. She's stretching. 213. Glad you got your
dinner
lights
time.
On. Go have some dinner. And maybe I'll see you on the internet side of the game soon. And we'll catch you guys next week. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe if you're listening. We appreciate it. And rate the show. Both of you guys go to Apple right now. I'll send you guys a link. Rate the podcast. There's a link below, you guys. Direct to Apple Podcast. Rate the show. Keeps us ranked. Keeps us in your ears. We're out of here. Peace.